Hi there and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making something really delicious, which is spicy sesame zoodles. And I love this. If you're looking for something that's like light and refreshing and easy to make, and also, something that will give you lots of plant-based goodness, this is the recipe for you. It's a perfect summer dish because it is so light, and in fact, I like including it in my volume eating diet. I don't know if you're familiar with that. If Are you familiar with that at all, or have you tried that, where it's basically where you add a lot of recipes that are fairly low in calories, and so you can eat more of it, and that's kind of satisfying to, especially when you do something like this with a delicious sauce. These zucchini noodles work perfectly. They give you that saucy goodness and flavor, and then you're able to eat a lot of it. That's what I like. So that's one thing about a volume eating diet. And zoodles are basically spiralized zucchini noodles. So I'm going to show you how to make that. And what I love about zoodles is that there's so many ways that you can prepare them and serve them. You can have them raw, or like I like to do it, as you can cook them in a saucepan, or you can even fry them like a stir fry. But today we're going to do a really quick tip, and I'm going to make them in the microwave. So I'm going to show you how we do this. We start with a zucchini, believe it or not, and we're going to just chop the top off, and we're going to chop the other end off because we want a nice flat surface on both sides. And this will make sense to you in a minute. I'm gonna grab this spiralizer.
The link is in the description.
I'm gonna put the link in the description. So there are different types of blades that you can use, and I'm gonna be using the thin spiral. So we'll put that in here, and we're just gonna put this zucchini right in the middle here. I like to make sure I get it in the center, kind of push it in a little bit. Same thing on this end. We're just going to push in just a little bit to make sure that those spikes get in there. Let me get this stuff out of my way. And then I always have a bowl on the other end to grab all the goodies, and then we start spiralizing. And so you're kind of gently pushing, applying a little bit of pressure. Good workout in the kitchen. Boom. And that's just for one zucchini. Look at that. Look at all those noodles. Now, another thing I really love to have is my kitchen scissors, but I don't have that with me right now. But what I'll do is, oh, thank you very much. What I like to do is, if you have your kitchen scissors, I will just, this is the remnant that's left over, and I just cut it into pieces. I might as well use it, is the way I look at it. And I just cut that piece. You don't want it to cook differently, so I try to cut it as thinly as possible. But also, you don't want these big, long strands. Look at that. That is really long. Do you see that? How long those are? That is some long spaghetti. Look at that one alone. Oh my. It just broke, but that's how long it is. So I like to get my kitchen scissors in here and just cut it up a little bit. You don't need to spend all day on this or anything, but it just makes it a little easier to eat. That's all I'm saying. And it's a good use of your kitchen scissors. Now, what I like to do too is I'm going to be adding garlic to the sauce. And I don't know if you're like me, but I don't like particularly using raw garlic in a sauce. So I just like to add it right to the zucchini noodles, so that it cooks right along with it. And the other thing I want to point out to you is this is kind of a mess here. The spiralizer itself, the sooner that you clean it, the better, because if you let that sit, that'll kind of get hard and difficult to clean. So, okay, this is going to go in the microwave for 3 minutes. That's going to cook. I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to go right into the sauce. So let's make the sauce together. I've got a bowl here, And to that, I'm going to add some, this is toasted sesame oil, just so you can see what I'm using here. You can use up to 3 tablespoons if you like. I like to keep it around 1. I think it adds that flavor just like you need, and delivers, a nice consistency into the sauce itself. And this is around 2 tablespoons. You can use, this is coconut aminos, but you can use tamari or just plain old soy sauce works fine too. Depends on whether you want it to be gluten-free or not. This is around a tablespoon of rice vinegar. And this is a couple of tablespoons, although if you wanted to make this super light, you could take this down to a tablespoon of tahini, which is basically sesame seeds ground down into a paste. It's like sesame seed butter is the way I would describe it. And I've chopped up a green onion, and we're going to add that to the sauce. Now, we've got salty, we've got the vinegar flavor in here, but we need a little bit of sweet. And so for that, you could add a packet of Splenda if you wanted to keep this light, or we'll just add a glug of maple syrup. And glug is a technical term. And if you like it to be spicy, which I really do, I like to add just a little bit of sriracha. I mean, I think sriracha is pretty good in everything. And then you can use fresh ginger, or here I'm just going to be using ground ginger, and around a ½ teaspoon is all you need. It's going to add that gingery flavor. It's so delicious. The only other ingredient we'll have here is I also have some sesame seeds, but I like to sprinkle those on the top because otherwise they kind of get lost in the sauce. Lost in the sauce. That's what I like to think about. Yeah. Okay, so I always recommend taking the taste test because you just never know if it's going to be, meeting your salty requirement or your sweet. That's perfect. Oh, I love that. So good. Okay. The other thing I want to talk with you about is protein, because as you can imagine, zoodles and sauce there's not a lot of protein in that. So there are so many options that you can do to add protein to this recipe. Like, for example, you could add some cooked lentils. That would be delicious. Red cooked lentils on this dish would be amazing. Chickpeas would be delicious. There's chopped up tofu is a really natural, easy protein source. What is that? Tempeh is another really great option that would be delicious. So yeah, you can just play around with the protein options. Today, I'm going to be using this plant-based chicken. It's Tofurky's plant-based chicken. I love this stuff because it's already cooked. It's already lightly seasoned. It's super easy, and it just fits perfectly in this dish. So I hear the microwave has stopped, so let's go over here. Grab this, and I'm going to pull this off, and they're going to see the steamy goodness. Yeah, look at that. Wow. Doesn't that look good? Bright and fresh. So delicious. Now, what I'm going to show you is there is a bunch of water. We didn't even add water to this. Like sometimes when I'm steaming things in the microwave, we're going to add, like, let's say we were steaming broccoli in the microwave. We would be adding water to the bowl. We don't even need to do that with zucchini because look at this. There's so much water in the zucchini itself that when you cook it in the microwave, it just releases its water. So what I like to have is some tongs like this and just kind of smash it a little bit to kind of release any of the extra liquid and transfer that to a bowl. You could also get a colander. It would work perfectly with a colander. And then if I was using a colander, I would kind of, well, you want to let it cool a little bit because this is really hot, but you'd want to smush it just a tiny bit because you want to release any of this extra liquid that you can. Look at that. This is great. Okay, beautiful. 3 minutes in the microwave. We're making the sauce as we're cooking that. So this means dinner would be ready in like minutes. So here goes the sauce. It's going to go right in here. And obviously, we want to get all of that in there, and we want to give it a nice little stir. That's delicious looking. It kind of gets a little soupy texture. I'm going to grab some more of this sauce, get it on top. Wow, that looks amazing. And then I'm going to add a little bit of this Tofurky here because you need a little protein. I'm sorry, but protein is what's going to help you stay full. So if you eat all this volume food, but it doesn't have any protein in it, I think you might end up being hungry within an hour. So, so we're going to add some Tofurky on top. This stuff really has a decent amount of protein in it. Tastes really good. It's got a nice chickeny flavor to it. And then we want to add a little bit of sesame seeds on top. It's got a nice look to it. I think there's nothing like adding just another little bit of sriracha. How beautiful is that? I'm going to grab my fork because now it's time to talk taste test. This is still really hot, so this may be me being brave, but look at that. That is just gorgeous. I love the look of that steam coming off of there. This is saying, I'm ready to be eaten. I'm gonna have to. Mm, mm, mm. Holy cow. If that's volume eating, I just got some sriracha in the back of my throat. If that's volume eating, sign me up. I'm ready for it because that is so good. When you get those little bites of that Tofurky chicken in there, and you got the sriracha. The zoodles have a nice neutral texture to them and flavor. They taste. I imagine I would be eating a noodle here. I'm shocked every time I have them. I'm thinking this is just amazing. Why didn't I know about this all along? If you don't have a spiralizer, you can use a knife and just cut it up into thin strips. But I do think the spiralizer is well worth the investment because, I mean, you can just see the look of these zoodles. They look like noodles. They've got the texture of noodles. That sauce, I really think the tahini is what sets us apart because it gives it such a creamy texture that makes you want to come back for more. It's delicious. So, I love hearing from you. So I would love for you to leave a comment and let me know, like, have you tried zucchini noodles before? And if you have, do you prefer them raw? What's your favorite way to serve them? So I would love to hear from you because, we learn from each other. It's wonderful. So I wanted to say thank you for joining me today. I had a really good time. I'm loving having you in the kitchen with me. And if you like today's recipe, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more recipes coming your way every week. Mm. Mm.